Hey, and welcome to a holiday-themed review today. As you can tell, we changed the bump to reflect the season. These are really only going to be for holiday-themed reviews. I love claymation. I'm a huge fan of Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer and a lot of those claymation movies that came out at the time. We also upgraded our table today because we're going to be looking at something that's going to take up a little bit more space, and that's board games. Now, Funko Games has sponsored our review today, and they have made some very excellent holiday-themed games in the past. We've shown you last year. They take some classic movies, Christmas-themed movies or holiday-themed movies, and turn them into some kind of rapid play game, which is both portable and really easy to learn. It's perfect if you have people that are impatient with rules or really struggle with rules for whatever reason. It's great. You can play them in the car or anywhere. They don't take up a whole lot of table space. So today we're going to be looking at Planes, Trains, and Automobiles, classic holiday movie. Huge fan of this. This was Steve Martin and the late John Candy. This is about a journey where they're traveling to Chicago in time for the holidays and taking all modes of transportation, very determined to get there no matter what. So you can see on the box here, they got some nice artwork with the burning the car here. The iconic luggage and the hats and all that for Steve Martin and John Candy here. So it's a nice little fun artwork on the front, and of course you got Steve Martin there on the side with his frustration, and then John Candy on the other side. So pretty neat, nice little artwork, nice little touch here, and we're going to delve into this in a second. Just paying attention again at the top, you can see that little bow. That's the little holiday twist they put on it. It's a fun little, it's kind of already gift wrapped if you look at it that way, where you could just put it into a stocking and you already got that nice little touch on the top. Of course, you could wrap it on top of that. But let's take a look on the inside and get into gameplay. So let's take a look at what's inside, and then we'll check out how to play here. Immediately notice around the outside we got little hats and I guess that's Christmas dinner there, and a shower curtain ring, and a bow tie, all things synonymous with the characters from the movie. Of course, we got our instructions here. Same thing, a little, this red and green, nice little Christmas wrapping to it. I like that. There's a shower curtain inside here with a little, I guess this is a little marker. Around the board here, you can see different, these are probably mileage markers. So this box also serves as your game board, so it's a nice use of space. With a nice meal on the inside here, and then just the cards. Nothing very complicated. Like I said, these are always very easy to learn, very simple. This one's for 12 and up, just 2 players, so I imagine it's not going to be too difficult to learn, but we're bringing in for a closer look as we set it up, because it's hard for you to see what we're doing when you're looking at the whole picture. Okay, so this is relatively straightforward. We're going to have 2 players. Each player will be sitting on a different side of the table. We have challenge decks, and then we have the journey decks. Now we have the 2 lead characters, Dell, played by John Candy, and then Neil, played by Steve Martin. Each player is going to be one of these 2, and we're going to move the cards to their side of the respective side of the table. Now in the middle we have these challenge decks. This is going to be our play space, so each player will have their own challenge deck as well. Now up here we have the token that will be marking the mileage. So we'll be setting that over here on 0 for now. And then it will move as we progress through the game. And of course, here's the shower curtain of Dell's shower curtain. So naturally that makes sense to have it as a sort of a feature in the game. If you looked at our Seinfeld review, they had the marble rye, which came into a big play to sort of come back from behind. So we'll see how this kind of affects the gameplay later on. Here's the progression tracker. So we're starting in New York, and our goal is to slide this all the way to Chicago to win the game. Now you do that simply by winning 3 challenges. We'll get to that in a minute. If you fail, you go to this delayed status of the car on fire from that iconic scene. 2 of these and the game's over. So very straightforward. You just need to win a couple challenges and get this mileage marker moving along until you get to where you need to be. So we'll get into gameplay right now, but the setup, very easy. Just need a small table and 2 people. Now for our first challenge here, we're going to have both Dell and Neil draw a card from the challenge deck in order to put together the first challenge. Now the goal here is going to be this total mileage of getting 200 in order to pass the challenge. Now the card will tell you a bunch of things, such as how many cards you're playing, whether they're face up or face down, white meaning face up, and whether or not you can discuss the cards. We'll put a chart over here to show you what the full arrangement of cards could be in this instance. There's also additional rules here. You can only play cards that end in a 0 will count toward your mileage, so nothing with a 5. So, which makes sense. It's going to be a lot more harder to have to add things up with a 5, so this is actually easier. So the instruction here is basically each player takes a turn sliding the shower curtain ring to the other player's cards, and you need to play the cards that the ring goes on. If you miss all the cards, you get to do it again. If you miss 3 times in a row, you lose, so we don't want to miss. So basically, if we look at our board here, you're then taking out your journey cards and setting it up so that you have 6 on each side, and then the shower curtain will be playing the space in the middle. So since we only need 100, in theory, we should just be able to slide this shower curtain across and hit 100. And this card would be played, and then this player would slide the shower curtain across and hit 100, and that card would be played. Now with these 2 cards, in essence, we achieve our challenge of having 200 miles that they would add together, essentially. So we move our token 200 miles here, and then we would be moving this to the next city destination, to Wichita. Now, if we failed and we ended up hitting a 0 and a 75, we couldn't play these because of that 5 number. Or if we got a 0 and then another 0, it's not really going to count for anything. So in this instance, it's kind of luck of the draw, and we just happened to have 100-mile cards, and then it ended up being what we needed to achieve the challenge in just one go. So this was a successful challenge. So our next challenge takes place in Wichita. We reset the mileage counter, which is just basically used to keep track of where you are in achieving your challenge. So our challenge now, as you can see, we have a different arrangement. We're drawing 6 cards, 1 card face up, and we can't tell the other player what our cards are. So this time we're allowed to give them a clue, though, by using the shower curtain ring to place it on one part of the card in order to signal to the other player what card we're going to play. The restrictions are we can only play cards that either have an automobile or a suitcase. So of the 2, one of them must include that for the total points to count toward this 325. So for this example, although our cards are face up, they're not going to be viewable to the other player. So what we want to do is signal to the other player that we're going to be playing an automobile. So in this instance, we'd be playing our 25 card, and they know we're playing an automobile card. So in all likelihood, they wouldn't need to put down another automobile card. So they could put down this 50 card. So this way we would count 75 toward our total, and we would move up to 75 on the mileage marker. So even though you can't talk, you can still communicate, basically. So in this instance, he has a suitcase card. So he could put an indication that he's going to be playing a suitcase card. And that way, the other player knows that they're going to be safe, and they could play whatever they want. So again, I could play this 75 card here, and they could play this suitcase card. Now this X2 means you just match whatever they have on their side. So you'd be multiplying 75 by 2, and you basically get 150. So then again, this would move us along the line from 75 to 225. And we're over here. And so on and so forth until we get to 325, which in this set is pretty doable because every card we have here basically has a car on it or a suitcase. So it would allow us to basically play anything. So this combination actually worked out in our favor. So essentially, as we played through, we would then be able to advance to St. Louis and then pick it up from there. Okay, so we're starting off in St. Louis. Just for a note, I didn't stage any of this. This just happens to be luck of the draw for me here. So we played through so far without any failures. We reset our token again back to 0 on the mileage marker. And we have our new challenge, completely random. I did not set this up. And this is a good way to showcase another example of a little bit of fun you have in the game here. So again, we have restrictions. This time we need to have either a train or luggage as part of the set. Only one of the 2 cards that are played need to be that. We need to get 350 miles. And this time we're doing the entire deck, 16 of each of the Journey decks, on top of the shower ring. So we already set that up here. Basically, none of the cards are actually touching the table. They're on top of the shower ring. So you're allowed to discuss your strategy with the player, and on each turn you're pulling cards out from this deck here and playing them, but you cannot let any of the cards touch the table as you pull them out, so you don't want to knock another card over. So basically, you're very carefully deciding what to go for. Oh, and there's one more here. You cannot pull the top card. So you would have to start here by playing like this 25, and then the other player would play a 75, and then boom, you have 100, and we're safe. Nothing fell and hit the table. So we'd advance our first 100 on our board here, moving toward our 350, and gameplay would just resume back and forth. But again, here's the trick. You need to have at least one train in your play. So you couldn't just get what's on top. It won't really work out that way. But then again, you're playing Jenga, and you don't want to knock the cards off. So I got a 50 very daringly there that has a train on it. And then I'm going to grab another 75 here. And that's going to make another 125. So then I'll move my board to 225. Not struggling too much with this so far, but again, I think it's just kind of luck of the draw here that these cards happen to be on top. We got a 50, and I think I see 100 here, but I'm kind of afraid of knocking all these down. I'm going to wuss out and go for the 50. There we go. There's another 100. That moves us to 325, and all we need is 25 to get out of this, but we're kind of in a precarious position. We get 25, but now we need a train, and I don't see any trains. But we could also use a luggage, and I do see a luggage right here, and that's taking the whole pile with it if I go for that. So we might have to burn a card in order to get to the next one, unless this one on top here is a train, and is not. It's a car. So in this case, these wouldn't count. We need to have one with a train or a luggage on it. So then when we keep picking, and I do see one with a train here, but then we need another one. Anyone would do at this point. And there we go. So that would be enough to get us more than where we need to go. I think that gets us to 400. So then at this point, we would get to Chicago, and the game's over. And that's it. Really easy to do, really easy to set up. And we got through it flawlessly on our first play. But again, luck of the draw. If the top here had none of the trains, we would be in a lot of trouble, because we would be trying to pick from the bottom, and then we run the risk of knocking them onto the table and then the challenge failing. So in this instance, you didn't know, because you're blindly dropping the cards on top of the shower ring when you're doing this setup for this level. So again, just kind of luck of the draw, and then skill as you're pulling these cards out and figuring out how to do it without taking this top one. Well, we hope this was helpful for you. We always love playing Funko's holiday games. They're very simple. They draw a lot of nostalgia, and they always work in some little gimmick, like this shower ring, which I thought was just perfect for the film, for the game. It did have a lot of play in the game. The cards have some really nice little artwork from the movie. One of my favorite scenes, I'm driving the car between the two semi-trucks. So it's fun that they included that as well. Despite its name, there's nothing plain about this game. It's quite fun. It's quite easy to learn, quite easy to set up, quite easy to put away as well. I love how they included a little bag for the small parts. Cards fit right in there. Instructions, and that's it. I mean, there's not a lot to put away. So it's portable. You can take it on planes, trains, and automobiles for your holiday travel, whatever it takes you this year. I'm definitely going to be bringing it home and trying it out with my family as well. So I highly recommend it. You should be able to get this in stores now, if not really soon. We'll have it featured in our gift guide as well that's coming out in a couple weeks. So recommend it. You can check out some of Funko's other holiday titles as well that have been out in previous years. We'll have some links to some previous reviews we did on the ones you can see behind me here. We're going to have some more Funko Games, holiday themed as well, coming up in the next couple of weeks, so stay tuned for those. Until then, guys, like, subscribe, and follow, and we'll see you next time.